what's up guys, RileyChaseFox here. So, I did an interview with Tony Oliver a little while ago, finally getting around to editing it. So, the interview was a little too long for me to put into just one video. So, what I decided to do was cut it into about a 2 to 3 part series. Now, with this first video, I asked Tony Oliver 6 questions. So, if you're thinking about becoming a voice actor and entering this type of field of work, then the answers that he gives us, they are very informative and very important. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right into the video. Hey, what's up guys? I am RileyChaseFox, and today I am here with a very, very special person, and this person is...
Tony Oliver. How you doing, guys?
Oliver. He's an amazing person. We're so thankful to have you. I am so honored that you got back to me, and it's truly a blessing. So obviously, we'll ask this question that you get asked all the time. So who are you? How did you get into voice acting?
I'm Tony Oliver. I'm a voice actor, a director, and a producer. I've been doing it for years, and I can't. I lost count. And I've what was the rest of the question? And what do I do?
What do you do?
Oh, how do I get into voice acting?
Yes.
I actually was a stage actor. I always wanted to be an actor, and I trained for that. And in Los Angeles, that means you don't make any money because there's very little professional theater, at least at the time in Los Angeles. And so I was always trying to get into television. So I auditioned for Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley and a lot of different things. I was up for The Outsiders. There was a lot of, but I never quite landed anything until I auditioned for a voice job.
Oh, wow.
I answered an ad for in the local trades for someone who could sound like they were under 18, but were over 18 because of labor laws.
Yes.
And had experience. So I didn't have the experience, but I didn't tell them that. And I went ahead and auditioned, and I got the part. And it was just a small background. It's called Walla. It's the background conversations that happen behind the main scene for a Louis Malle film. And that... they liked what I did, so they auditioned me for something else, and that turned into a film called Sea Prince and the Fire Child.
Yes.
Which ended up on television. And then somebody saw that and called me and asked me to audition for something else, and that ended up being Robotech. So that's kind of how that whole process, by the way, sounded like it was a few weeks. That was like a year and a half or 2 years that process took.
Okay. A lot of people, for some reason, they love you. I don't know why. It's funny.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I feel like you're like the dad that at the job. There's always like at a job, there's like a mom or a dad, and I definitely feel like you are the dad.
I used to take offense to that. Now I kind of like it.
That's good. Yeah. Well, everyone. No, I'm not saying that like with ulterior motives, but
no. I get it.
Yeah, but a lot of people do appreciate you. This guy knows what he's doing, and he's phenomenal, and he's great. As a director, when were you giving your first directing job?
Well, it wasn't a given. As much of my career, I have stumbled into it.
Okay.
I was actually working as associate producer at Saban Entertainment on a show called Noozles, which was on Nickelodeon way, way back in the day. And the ADR director was called in sick. And there was no way to fill in the blank, so I jumped in because we had to get the production done. And I found I had an act for it. And that's just kind of how it started. I stumbled into it. And because I was a producer at Saban Entertainment, there was a lot of times I could make the call who was going to direct, and if it was something I thought I could do, I would direct myself. So that's kind of how I kind of gave the job to myself in ways. Yeah.
Do you think there's a mutual love for voice acting or directing, or which one do you prefer over the other?
Really depends on what I'm doing and when.
Okay.
So these days I'm really into directing.
Okay.
And it depends because there are certain roles that are iconic to me and that I love and that I would play no matter what. But I've discovered I find the same joy in directing that I find in voice acting. It's the storytelling. It's the pulling forth of emotion and affecting an audience. All of that is present in both. And so I actually love them both. But these days it's directing.
Yeah, it is. And you can tell it's a natural talent. You just know how to bring people. I mean, I've seen...
It's years of acting failures of myself that I keep them from doing.
Yes, and that's all with experience. I mean, I've seen people come in and they just say a line and it's bad, but you just make them make a few simple adjustments, and it's like they're a professional actor. That takes a lot of talent to do.
Well, thank you.
You are very welcome.
It's years on the planet to help a little bit.
No, definitely. How was it working as a young Tony Oliver compared to working as an older Tony Oliver now?
Well, on that particular show, I was playing young Christopher, who was 10 years old. I was in my 20s.
Okay.
So So basically, I did this for 6 weeks, And the engineers would see me coming and just cringe, like, "Oh God, we got to listen to this again." At the time, the directors used to work in the booth with you. And the director, when I would come and do this, would go, "Oh, hang on," and he'd reposition himself back in the control room so he wouldn't have to be in the same room with me doing that screechy little high-pitched voice. So that was kind of a fun thing to do at the time. The difference now and then is then I was terrified a lot of the time. I was really trying to figure out what an actor was, not just what a professional actor was. I'd been acting for quite a while, but in the professional world, it's different. There's a different goal. There's a different set of rules, and I was still trying to figure that out. So most of the time, I was really in kind of a great place to be, which is in the space of I don't know, and just trying to do the best I could and not get in my own way. Now, when I walk into a booth, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident. I generally know if I'm going to be able to play the part or not. There's some parts that I just don't play well, and that's true of everybody.
Yeah.
And so I know that walking in the door, I know that I have the skills and experience to do what's called for in the work. So it's a lot more fun, a lot more relaxed.
And I know you're at that level of confidence, but being humble. You know
thank
what I mean?
Yeah.
You're very welcome. And so when a lot of people come in and they're really getting into this industry, what are the 3 biggest mistakes that you see new actors make that may hold them back from really, really getting out there and starting?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Thinking that you're in control of things. When you're an artist, unless you're an artist painting by yourself somewhere, you have people you're answering to, at least in the professional world. So you don't get to make the call all the time. Very often you think you're this, but we want you here, and that's where they want you. And they may be wrong, but you still have to deal with it that way. So part of it is learning to be flexible enough not to get taken for a loop when they say, "Oh, you're not this, you're that," because they may be wrong, but you still have to go with that.
Yes.
That's number 1. Number 2, thinking it's going to be fast. An overnight success is 5 to 10 years.
Yes, it is, and it is so true.
And it just takes a long time, not just to get the opportunities, but to build a network of people that will give you the opportunities.
Yes.
And the ability to take advantage of that takes time and effort and time and maturity. So it's not so much that, at 22 you're not any good. It's at 22 you don't really know how to use your instrument fully yet. And you're going to learn more as long as you go. So by the time you get to be 30 and 35, now you know what you're doing. Now you can actually effectively go out and act professionally. And there are people that can do it in their 20s too, but they struggle a lot more than the people who've been doing this for a while.
Okay.
So that's it. It's not fast. It's a long process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
You got to have a lot of love for what you're wanting to do.
And then the third thing is thinking that acting is something that you have to do. That acting is a process of playing something or wearing a costume or wearing a character. And if you've ever seen a high school production and people are reading stuff and they're acting and they're giving you all the music they're supposed to, but it's not real. And that's not what professional acting is. Professional acting is about really being real. And then figuring out a way to express that in the appropriate to the medium. So if you're being a cartoon, SpongeBob, if you watch SpongeBob, underneath there's a real character there that's expressed in that funny way. And that's the thing, is learning to not try to act here, but follow this instinct, the aesthetic that made you an actor in the first place. Because that's the aesthetic that you want to trust.
Wow, there's just something, the way that you word and say things. It's just now I can know why everyone always goes to you. I remember when I took your class a couple of years ago, you said a lot of people will come in and they'll audition for the main character. And they don't audition for the side characters, maybe the characters that don't have so much competition. Would you suggest that to maybe new actors that are coming in?
Well, yeah, a lot of times these days, more and more they're telling you what to audition for. Because they don't want to get...
I kind of figured. Okay.
More and more that's happening because they don't want you to send 32 things, because they just don't have time to listen to them.
No.
But if you have a choice, you have to consider that. Everybody wants the lead because, first of all, you think the lead's more fun to play, and often it's not.
Okay.
The second of all is leads have more lines, so you have more work. You're going to make a little more money, so that has something to do with it. But often it's much easier to get cast in a character role, especially if you're a character actor. You're not going to get big leads throughout your entire career, but you're going to work a lot more than lead guys are.
Yes.
There's a lot more work as character actor than there is as lead actor. So it's better to go after something smaller. You have a little less competition. You have a better chance of getting cast and getting the work and getting the experience you need, so that eventually, once in a while, you can play a lead. I played both leads and characters.
Yes.
It's fun both ways, but actually the character's a little more fun.
That's good. Yeah. I think the first ever time I had recognized you as a voice actor was from doing my personal favorite is Minato in Naruto.
Oh, thank you.
When I found out that it was you the whole time, I'm sitting here trying not to fanboy, but I want to keep it professional. Walk us through the process from start to finish when directing that kind of show.
Well, it's like that one is an anime, so it's like any other anime. You generally prepare by getting yourself familiar with the show and the style by watching it in Japanese, in the original language. These days it's easier because Crunchyroll will be running it, or somebody will have it legally in a sub form so that I can watch it legally.
Yes.
Legally. Either, I'll sometimes, like on Fate, I watch the entire series because it was complicated.
That show.
On some of the comedies, I'll watch 5, 6, maybe 7 episodes to get a sense of it.
Okay.
And then you go in and you actually work with the actor and develop the voice. When I was back up directing there, those voices were already established.
Okay.
So it was really kind of up to me to just keep them in the same realm where they were. So I had to watch the show that the other director had directed just to make sure I kept the same style. For the shows that I do, it's I keep the continuity myself in my own head.
Yeah.
But again, it's also trying to make sure that everything's tied, all the facts are tied together. So there is a certain amount of preparation that has to go into it. The couple of times where, there are times when they throw a script at me in that morning and we have to start recording it in the afternoon. And, there's a quick chance to skim through it, but by and large, we're discovering it together as we go. And fortunately, because the Japanese are good storytellers, most of the information we need is already there. Okay. We just have to make sure we see it as we're going through,
David Vincent had said something that I was like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. I'm wondering if you might do the same method as well. He said that when he was doing the voice of Senketsu in Kill la Kill, they had him record 3 episodes, and then they started back over for him to really get into the voice of the character. Do you use that same method too?
Occasionally, yeah. It depends on the actor. But I've been doing a lot of, how do I put this? I'm working on Beyblade Burst Turbo, and there's a lot of voice matching having to do with the original cast, which was from a different country, and we're using newer actors. This was a choice the casting director made, and I think it's been a good choice. But with them, they don't establish as quickly. So for almost all of them, we do the entire session, and then we go back to the first episode, maybe redo the first 10 or 12 lines.